The Price of Peace is a 1-hour documentary. It's not an hour of talking heads. It's a very interesting tour of the world and of the story that behind the question of deterrence. And deterrence of enemy aggression is something that's happened all through history. It happens every day. It happens in a listener's relationship with their teenage kids. You're always trying to convey a message to the other party. And this Price of Peace that was produced by Kip Perry and Alan Bentov. Tom Skinner was the executive producer, a friend of mine. And Free to Choose Media has been producing this series of very thought-provoking discussions. They're an hour long, and they're on public TV. In fact, they will be broadcast in some stations tonight. For other stations, they'll need to check their listings and timings. The documentary walks.
Yeah, go ahead.
The documentary walks the viewer through historical events, some of which are quite familiar, and it tries to extract lessons from that, and they use a little bit of analysis by a couple well-known, well-respected experts, but they also take the viewer to the place where these things happen. So, for instance, the failures of deterrence, we have an example called the Munich Agreement, the agreement between the Nazis and the British to hand basically piece of Czechoslovakia to the Nazis to appease them, to prevent World War II from starting. That was a failure of deterrence because the Nazis absorbed that message and said, okay, if we got a piece of Czechoslovakia, maybe we can take the whole thing without getting World War II going. And that's exactly what did happen. So that was kind of a breakdown. There was another example that's from the fascinating location of the Falkland Islands. The team went down there, and they interviewed the people who lived there, who woke up one morning in 1982 to find that their islands had been occupied by Argentina. And for the military junta leaders of Argentina at the time, they thought, well, this is so far away from Britain that they won't respond and we'll be able to take these islands away from the British, which they've always wanted to do. They miscalculated. They didn't believe that the country that supported the Falkland Islands, Britain, would do anything about it. So it's a very interesting example. What I really loved about the documentary was it really goes all over the world. It begins, surprisingly, you might feel, in East Africa with the Maasai tribesmen. And here are tribesmen, Africans, who have wealth. They have cattle, and they feel a need to defend their wealth. And so that the ability to defend it is kind of one piece of deterrence. The other piece of deterrence is the demonstrated intent to defend it if you have the ability. So if you break it down, deterrence basically becomes capabilities and intent. And to put it really simply, you're communicating a message. If you hit me, I will hit you back. And my hitting back will be so strong that any rational person will decide not to hit me in the first place.
That is great. Thank you. And when does this air?
This airs around the country beginning tonight, and it's a variety of locations. Some are showing it tonight, that being April 2nd, Monday, and other places on different dates, so they'll have to check their local listings for both times and dates.
All right. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.